Good to be with you. I'm Tony DeCopo. The breaking news right now. The extraordinary images tonight. Former Prince Andrew, brother to King Charles, seen here, just released from police custody. The surprise arrest and new revelations in the Epstein files. A royal connection to the late convicted sex offender. What the palace is saying tonight. The possible bomb cyclone for the Northeast, threatening some cities with up to a foot of snow. The timing and the track tonight. And the adorable golden doodle abandoned at an airport ticket counter. News on the owner tonight and what happened to the dog.
From CBS News headquarters in New York, this is the CBS Evening News with Tony DeCopo.
Good evening. We begin tonight with the downfall of a prince. What may prove to be the most high-profile fallout from the Epstein files. You are looking at a photo of Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, the brother of the reigning king, Charles III, slouched down in the back of an SUV after his release from police custody today. The man formerly known as Prince Andrew was arrested this morning in a raid on his cottage on the King's Estate in Norfolk. It is the first arrest of a senior royal since the 1640s, and it follows new revelations about Mountbatten Windsor's business dealings with the late convicted sex offender, Jeffrey Epstein. He has previously denied all wrongdoing, and yet here we are. MTS Tayeb has more on what led to this extraordinary arrest. MTS, good evening.
Tony, good evening. Well, after nearly 12 hours in police custody, Andrew Mountbatten Windsor has been released, but can be rearrested at any time as officers continue to investigate whether he shared confidential government information with Jeffrey Epstein.
The image is stark. A former prince after being questioned by police and released, but not cleared. Andrew Mountbatten Windsor was arrested earlier today after 6 unmarked police vehicles arrived at Sandringham, a private estate owned by his brother, King Charles. Their arrival was quiet, but the rupture in the monarchy's long-managed distance from the law was heard around the world after officers crossed one of the most protected thresholds in Britain. In a brief statement, police confirmed the arrest of a man in his 60s on suspicion of misconduct in public office, and that some searches were ongoing.
Keep calm and carry on.
Julian Payne is a former communications director for King Charles and a CBS News royal contributor.
This has been a huge shock in the UK. It's been a huge shock for the royal family. But as you've seen in the statement that the King made today, his view is clear. No one is above the law.
What's your reaction to your brother's arrest?
Just hours after his brother's arrest on suspicion of misconduct in public office, King Charles carried on with a scheduled appearance, despite being asked about the arrest. But the King did release a rare personal statement saying he viewed the matter with the deepest concern and that the law must take its course. Buckingham Palace has said neither the King nor the Palace was informed in advance, though the British government has said it was. Andrew Mountbatten Windsor has been shadowed by the Epstein scandal for years, worsened by this disastrous 2019 BBC interview.
I have no recollection of ever meeting this lady.
He later paid an apparent multi-million-dollar settlement with accuser Virginia Giuffre and lost all of his royal titles. Now, newly released material, including this image of him and an unidentified woman, as well as emails allegedly showing him sharing confidential reports with Epstein while serving as a UK trade envoy from 2001 to 11, has sharply raised the legal stakes. Today, the family of Giuffre welcomed the arrest.
This is the beginning of the web. This is the thread that we need to continue to pull to uncover the further allegations.
Now, to be clear, at this stage, Andrew Mountbatten Windsor is not being investigated over allegations of the sexual exploitation of young women or underage girls and has always denied any wrongdoing. But if he is charged with misconduct in public office and later convicted, the former prince could face life in prison. Tony.
MTS, thank you very much. We just heard more snow is headed for the west as severe storms hit the Ohio Valley, and there's a chance a bomb cyclone could soon hit the Northeast. Meteorologist Eric Fisher from CBS News Boston joins us now with the forecast. Eric, good evening.
Tony, good evening to you. It's definitely that time on the calendar. We're starting to see those clashes. It's spring against winter. It's snow and severe happening at the same time. Tonight, we'll start with the severe side. We're actually watching for the risk of some tornadoes firing up in southern Illinois and southern Indiana in particular, and also a severe threat that extends over into southwestern sections of Ohio. We've already had several tornado warnings so far. Not expecting a widespread outbreak, but the storms that do pop have a higher end potential. So we'll be watching that zone. It has started in southern Illinois, moving into southern Indiana as the night goes on. That system will track off to the north and east, eventually getting into southern New England with a wintry mix tomorrow afternoon, and then some accumulating snowfall coming through northern New England and New York State for a snowy start to the upcoming weekend there. Speaking of snow, a bigger storm forming as we get to the end of the weekend, late Sunday into Monday. Usually when you're several days off, there is a difference. The GFS is closer to the coast. The Euro is farther out to sea. Two of our models, of course, closer means more snow, farther out means less snow. I tend to think usually at this time frame, a blend is a good way to go here. The GFS probably a little too aggressive, but if you put the two together, some snow at the coast, maybe missing a blockbuster. Tony will be watching the trends over the weekend.
All right, Eric, appreciate it. Thank you. We turn now to the search for Nancy Guthrie. 19 days in now, and the Pima County Sheriff confirms investigators are still analyzing the DNA discovered from Guthrie's home. John DeVigliotti is in Tucson with more on that.
And he brings his hand up like this, right there, to block his face a little bit as he's trying to figure out what to do.
19 days in, and experts say this doorbell camera video still provides the best clues for solving Nancy Guthrie's kidnapping.
It looks like somebody who's very much planned not to leave any trace of himself.
Lance Lysing is a retired FBI supervisory special agent.
When I look at this backpack, it's full, but it doesn't look heavy to me.
Right. It looks like material.
What kind of material?
Bags. He thought he was going to need something like that to carry items away. It could be items like rags, things to clean up, cleaning solutions. So we don't know what investigators are finding inside the house.
DNA evidence recovered from Guthrie's residence is still being analyzed and has not yet yielded results.
The best type of DNA is inside the house that comes directly from bodily fluids. So blood, sweat, saliva. So if you don't have the direct bodily fluid evidence, you're looking for like touch DNA, doorknobs, anything like that. That DNA is less accurate.
And tonight, as the search intensifies, Mexican officials say they have no information to suggest that Guthrie's in Mexican territory. Lysing says it's not unusual for investigators to hold back information.
We only know about 5% of the facts of this case.
Are you saying that silence from authorities could be encouraging?
Absolutely.
And while some leads have gone cold, investigators say this is far from a cold case. Authorities confirming more than 70,000 tips, and tonight that number only growing as the FBI continuing to call on the public for help. Anyone with information has to call those numbers on your screen, Tony.
Those numbers again. Jonathan, thank you very much. The U.S. now has more military air power in the Middle East than at any time since the 2003 invasion of Iraq, that according to the Wall Street Journal. And with a second aircraft carrier on its way tonight, the White House appears prepared for the possibility of a weeks-long war with Iran if ongoing nuclear talks fall through. Here's Charlie D'Agata.
The Iranian Navy held joint exercises with Russian ships today, a show of force in the face of renewed threats of military action from President Trump, who has warned the regime it must curb its nuclear program.
They must make a deal, or if that doesn't happen, I maybe can understand. If it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. But bad things will happen if it doesn't.
The president has sent an armada of naval ships to the Middle East, including 2 aircraft carriers and several destroyers armed with cruise missiles. Military planners have given the president a range of options, from airstrikes on regime targets to its ballistic missile stockpiles to going after what's left of Iran's nuclear facilities. Last June, the president said U.S. strikes completely destroyed 3 nuclear sites.
Iran's key nuclear enrichment facilities have been completely and totally obliterated. Iran, the bully of the Middle East, must now make peace. If they do not, future attacks will be far greater and a lot easier.
The Trump administration believes Tehran still has hundreds of kilograms of enriched uranium and intends to build a nuclear weapon. Any strikes on Iran risk retaliation.
The Iranians still have a very substantial stock of short-range missiles. They can fight back. They can absolutely fight back, and they can fight back at the kinds of targets where there are significant American assets.
We're learning tonight that Iran sent a letter to the UN Secretary General saying if attacked, Iran will respond and, quote, all bases, facilities, and assets of the hostile force in the region will be legitimate targets. Tony?
Charlie, thank you very much. Today, NASA's new boss blasted both Boeing and his own space agency for the botched Starliner flight that left 2 astronauts stuck in space for months. NASA Administrator Jared Isaacman has now upgraded that incident to a, quote, Type A mishap that's reserved for things that threaten the crew. He blamed poor leadership at Boeing as well as NASA managers for failing to get the astronauts back home more quickly. And explaining his comments today, he said, quote, this is about getting the record straight. Up next, a woman abandoned this adorable pup at an airline ticket counter. What happened to both of them when we get back? A scary chase in Wisconsin this week when a man stole an ambulance with a patient in the back of it. He proceeded to take a roughly 40-minute joyride, dodging spike strips as police tried to slow him down. And that wasn't the only offense.
Dude is naked.
Dude was naked. When police caught up with the man, they found him naked as the day he was born, which made the check for weapons faster than usual. But maybe this is one case where hands up is not the best command. Happy to tell you the patient in the back was A-OK. And now to the story of that adorable golden doodle left at an airport counter in Las Vegas earlier this month. The owner was denied a boarding pass because she did not have service dog documentation for the pup. Her solution, it seems, was to just leave the dog behind, as she did, walking to the departure gate. And that is where police found her and arrested her for abandonment. The dog, now known as JetBlue, is no longer her dog and is expected to be adopted soon. If you're not already a skier, here's maybe another reason not to start. 3 black bears charged onto the slopes near Lake Tahoe, running and tumbling before disappearing back into the woods. This video, by the way, shot by a woman on a ski lift above who, as far as we know, did not turn around and go home. Skiers tougher than you and me. And a Massachusetts man went to great heights recently to entertain his toddler daughter. Meet Parker the Snowman. He is 20 feet tall, 21 feet wide, and Dad apparently has a very tall ladder. That's another day in America. I'm Tony DeCopel. For all of us here at CBS News, thank you for watching. We'll see you right back here tomorrow night. Good night for now.